This module will teach you the essential steps to start your projects in FlutterFlow. But first, let's start with a few important concepts. Imagine you develop an app in FlutterFlow. This app will have many parts that compose the final application. In FlutterFlow, your project is the foundation of everything you're building. Think of it as the container holding every aspect of your app development journey, including all elements you'll be working with. And it's where the magic of your entire app comes together. Then we get to pages. A page in FlutterFlow refers to the individual screens within your project. Each page is a unique space where users will interact with your app. When combined, these pages form the complete user interface of your application. Then we get to the widgets. A widget is the smallest part of a page where you create the user interface. Built-in widgets are pre-designed elements provided by FlutterFlow to help you craft your app's user interface easily. When you compose several widgets to create a reusable UI block, that can be used across pages. That's called a component in FlutterFlow. You will learn more about this in Module 9. Finally, the design system, where it refers to a set of design standards within your FlutterFlow project. All right, that was pretty high level, but let's go a little bit deeper and find out how FlutterFlow UI is structured and how you can leverage it for your project and application. The way UI is structured in FlutterFlow closely resembles the concept of atomic design, a methodology that segments UI into distinct levels of complexity. In atomic design, we start with the smallest indivisible elements. These are your basic building blocks. From there, we combine these atoms to form molecules, which then come together to create organs, or larger function units. Let's start with atoms. These are the fundamental building blocks that serve as the foundational elements of the UI. For example, text, image, button, icon, row widgets. Atoms are the fundamental building blocks that serves as the foundational elements of the UI. For example, text, image, button, icon, widgets. Molecules are groups of atoms bounded together and are the smallest fundamental units of a compound. These form the basic building blocks of a page, but can often be used on their own. For example, a product card. Organisms are groups of molecules joined together to form a relatively complex, distinct section of an interface. For example, product carousel, including the product card molecule and a refresh button atom or a scroll functionality. And finally, as I said earlier, pages are complete screens that represent the final visible output that user interact with. For example, product list page. Pages are composed of smaller units that work together to provide full experience, including all necessary functionality and design elements. This way of structuring UI also helps you to break down your design into smaller pieces and then create reusable chunks that are maintainable and, more importantly, scalable. This way of UI structure brings us to the concept of the widget tree. A widget tree is a visual and a structural representation of how widgets, ranging from atomic elements like text and button to more complex molecules and organisms, organized within a page. It outlines the parent-child relationships that define the layout and functionality of your UI. Let me also help you compare this concept with Flutter, especially if you are familiar with Flutter and coming from that background, which could be very helpful. In Flutter, my app typically represents the root of your application, where you set up routes and other global configuration. In FlutterFlow, the equivalent is the project. This project encompasses your entire application, including its configuration settings, as the foundation for everything you build. My page in Flutter refers to the widget that represents a specific screen in your app. In FlutterFlow, each page corresponds to a screen where you design the layout and functionality as specific to that part of your project. This is where you shape the user experience one screen at a time. In FlutterFlow, widgets like column, button, text are available as built-in widgets. These are essential building blocks that users can simply drag and drop into the canvas to construct the UI on their application. Custom widget in Flutter refers to the user-defined widgets designed to serve specific functions that built-in widget might not cover. In FlutterFlow, this concept is captured by a component or a custom widget defined in code, depending on the specific of the widget. This allows you to create and reuse custom components across your projects, tailoring the functionality to your exact needs. Finally, theme and style constants in Flutter ensure consistent styling across the app. FlutterFlow takes this a step further with the design system, which manages and applies uniform styles and themes throughout your application, making it easier to maintain visual coherence. All right, now that we have a common understanding of some core concepts of FlutterFlow projects, let's see what you're going to learn in this video. We're going to start with overview of FlutterFlow dashboard. Then we're going to build actually a project, go to the app builder essentials. So we learn what is app builder and how you can interact with it. We're going to work with widget palettes and widget tree, and you're going to learn more how they are going to work for you in FlutterFlow. Then we're going to see how you can run your projects and even test your project. And finally, we're going to see all of this into generated code and see how you can find different parts of your app in your Flutter generated code. Beautiful. Let's not wait more and get started. When logging into FlutterFlow, the dashboard is your central hub for managing projects and resources. The project section displays all the projects you've created in FlutterFlow. Each project will have an overflow menu which you can use to rename, duplicate, delete, leave a project, or add tags, or open the project in a new browser tab. Then you will find the theme switch, where you can toggle between dark and light modes using the switch for comfortable viewing according to your preference. Use the search bar to find any of your project quickly. The drop-down menu allows you to filter projects based on their privacy settings, such as private, shared by you, or shared with you. When you have more projects, adding tags can help you organize them. You can create tags and also edit your tags directly from here. You can always come back to the overflow menu on the project title, select Add Tags, and choose the desired tag. And finally, Create New button is a way that you can start your next project. There are a few important parts in the left sidebar, so let's get to that. First is notification. The notification center centralizes all projects' communications. The links on this sidebar allow you to access shareable and collaborative parts within your companies. And finally, you can check your account details, including your information, the plan you are subscribed to, and its validity. And I'm going to go and create a new project right now. When you create a project, you can start with a blank template, as you can see here, or you can select from pre-made apps. There are multiple options that you can start using them. So I'm going to go and select a blank project because we're going to actually build an app together throughout this course. So let's start from the beginning. In the second steps, you will see some information about your project. So I'm just going to go and disable everything, keep everything as is, and just start building for now. And as I said in the previous video, when you start FlutterFlow project, the first page you're going to get, it's an empty home page. And that's it for this video. Let's move on to the next video and learn more about the different parts of the app builder dashboard. When you enter a project, you will see the app builder, which consists of 4 main sections. Navigation menu located on the left side of the builder allows you to switch between various FlutterFlow features. Toolbar, where you can search for project, resources, change canvas size, and etc., is located on the top bar of the app builder. Properties panel, which lets you modify the visual appearance and interactive behavior of UI elements, as well as adding actions, setting up backend queries and animations, and more. It's on the right side. And the canvas area, where you can see a preview of a device screens and build your app, is going to be in the middle. The toolbar on the top is probably where you are going to work a lot with. So on the very left side, when you hover over the project info, you will see the information that is about this project, such as project ID. The help menu is a quick access to different resources in case you would like to have them during building your application. If you would like to work with keyboards and just have the shortcuts under your control, that's where you can get familiar with the keyboard shortcuts. For example, with Command K on Mac or Control K in Windows, you can open the command palette. And the command palette is actually also located next to the shortcuts with a search icon where you can see the different commands. Then you have access to the FlutterFlow AI tools. There is a generative AI tools from FlutterFlow that helps you to create pages, components, or you can even sketch and then upload your sketch and FlutterFlow will create that as a component for you. There's other options as well, which I encourage you to take a look and play around. But for this course, we're not going to use generative AI to generate anything for us because we want to build our foundation before we use any AI tools. Then you have access to the canvas size area, so where you can select between phones, tablets, and desktop. And if you want to set even a custom size as a pixel size, you can even do that yourself. You can always select between different devices that is already selected for you and even decide on the orientation of the device. The project history section helps keep track of changes and manage different versions of your app. We worked with the comment in the peer reviewing in Module 5 on collaborative tools, but as to remind again, you can actually create command for widget or the entire page and even use the @ sign to assign this to a specific person on your team. And then make a threaded conversation about that particular comment. The enhancement and suggestion section highlights what needs to be optimized to have a more performant app or enhancement on the UI. We're going to work with this area quite a lot throughout this course. Project issues, where you will see the warnings and errors if something goes wrong in your application, and you can immediately select and go to fix it as it appears under this section. This section allows you to create separate copy of your project so you can develop new features without affecting the app's current functionality. The developer menu provides access to advanced tools like code review, GitHub integration, or even downloading the generated code. If you want to share your project and make it public so everyone can clone and copy, You can also do that in FlutterFlow. Just make sure before sharing, you've removed any sensitive information. There are 3 modes in FlutterFlow that we're going to work a lot in throughout this course. And the first one is going to be the preview option. Lets you run your app in a preview mode where you can examine its functionality quickly. And finally, the testing menu allows you to run your app in test mode or run mode, ensuring everything works as expected before going live. You can always run the FlutterFlow local run by downloading the FlutterFlow desktop app, which we are going to set it up in this module later in the upcoming videos. Let's now talk about the canvas area, so where you're going to spend a lot of time here to design your application. First thing first is that you get the preview screen in the middle, where you're going to put and design your pages and components quite a lot. You can control the preview screen size with zoom control, so make it adjust to what you like to focus on. If you don't want to be distracted with navigation menus, you can always collapse it. And also, you can switch to dark mode of your application to get a preview quickly of your application in different light or dark mode. You can also enable displaying the device frame around the preview screen, or alternatively, you can also have resize handlebar where you can resize your preview screen manually. If you want to adjust the text scale, you can also do that from the controller on the canvas. There are other canvas settings that you can play around and adjust it based on your needs. For example, if you don't like the background to be white, you can make it to your preferred color. All right, that was about canvas area. Let's move on to the next video where we're going to talk about some of the features of navigations, including widget palette and the widget tree. To start with basic interaction with an app, you at least need to learn about widget palette and widget tree. All right, here is my app builder again. And on my navigation menu, the first option is going to be the widget palette. We're going to go through these widgets in the upcoming modules when we are building our layout. But for now, it's important that you know where you can get access. In the widget palette, you have 4 filters that you can use to find the widget. Either you can search for a specific widget that you are looking for, or you can filter it by the menu on the top of the widget palette. If you also want to have a floating widget palette, which you can place it anywhere in the app builder which you think it's going to be good for you, then you also can do that. So in the first video of this module, you learned about the widget tree, and that's where you can see the widget tree in tab 3 of the navigation menu. And as you can see, the widget tree is appearing as the name of these widgets. You can either select them from the preview screen, and you see that they are going to be appearing in the widget tree, or you can always explore them and inspect them from the widget tree, or you can always inspect each of these and see where they are located in the preview screen. You can always search for the widget that you're also looking for in the tree as well. If your widget tree is also very long, you can always collapse or expand them. Also use the expanded view or collapse to hide the children of a tree in case you want to. And one more thing I want to actually go through is the page selector, because everything starts from here. You're going to start creating your page. I'm going to learn about this in upcoming modules, but these are the options that you have available. If you select the page here, it will actually appear on the previous screen in the canvas area. So the folder structure that you see here is going to be reflected on your generated code. Let's actually quickly create some folders. I'm just going to go and organize my application with, let's say, authentication. I'm going to put all of my sign in, sign up pages there, and maybe orders. So we're going to have orders, baskets, and so on, everything related to orders. So I'm going to have now 2 folders in this case. Then I'm going to go and add 2 pages to each of them. Either you can go over the folder and right click, then you will see different options that you can actually create for this folder, including renaming, deleting, adding a subfolder, or component or page. For now, I'm going to add a page. You have different options for adding a page. And as you can see, you can use the predefined options in FlutterFlow, or you can go using AI as well as the blank page. I'm going to use the blank page for now. Another way to create the page is using this button at the very top. All right, what happens is that when you create from this, the order history is not actually located under the order folders. You can drag this page into the folder in this panel as well. So now you see that my orders is gonna have one page, it's gonna be order history. Now I can actually collapse them or open them as I wish. So it's gonna be more organized and it's gonna be easier for bigger project. As we go, in the generated code, you will see that also these names gonna be reflected in my generated code. I would like to also do one more thing here that you see. Let's say I want to create an auth pages, and for now, I want to create a sign up, create an account in this case. I'm going to use this and using my theme. And let's say I'm going to give it a name, create account. We will go through the details of these layouting in the next module, but I just wanted to show you that you can now go ahead and have a UI using the predefined templates as well, and then match it with your theming that you applied to your project. All right, that's it for now. Let's go to the next video, see how you can run this page and this UI and test it out. Running and testing your app is crucial to the app development process. There are 4 ways to run and test your project in FlutterFlow: preview mode, test mode, run, and local run modes. You can use preview mode to quickly test your app without waiting for it to build, making it ideal for UI testing. It includes dark mode, light mode test, and can be visualized on various mobile, tablet, and desktop devices. However, most business logic is not included in this mode. Always check FlutterFlow docs to learn more about limitations. Test mode runs a web version of your FlutterFlow app. There are 4 status for a test mode session, which is indicated by colors. Orange, which means building; yellow color, which means expiring soon; green, which means it's ready; and red, which means expired. Test mode does have some limitations as well, such as 30-minute time limit and the inability to access certain features like the camera. Always check FlutterFlow docs to learn more about these limitations. There is an interesting feature in test mode that is debug info panel, which provides a real-time view of all variables with their current values. We're going to use this in module 19. And finally, you can test a fully functional version of your app using run mode, which includes live data. The main advantage of run mode is the ability to share a running application. The links to this run mode session is public and shareable, making it easy to demonstrate your app to others. Just keep in mind for limitation as well and check the documentation always. All right, back to my app builder right now. There's 3 options as we discussed. So I'm just going to click on preview app, see what's going to happen. A new tab is going to open and you will see that immediately I'll see a preview of my application. Another mode is test mode. So I'm just going to click on either this icon or I'm going to open this panel and click on test mode. It usually takes a little bit longer to create a testing session for your app for test mode. Once the test mode session is established and you are entered to the test mode session, you will see different options. For example, you can test your application in different sizes for responsiveness, or you will see the debug panel in this case, or other options such as dark mode and light mode. And you can also have the instant reload button where you can click if you're making any changes, and you can see the result here. Let's actually make a change and use this. So what I'm gonna do right now, I'm just gonna quickly go to the widget palette and just drag and drop a text with hello world. I'm gonna change also page title to home page. So that's it. Now, if you look at this right now, you see the test session is still running and it's green. And now, going back to my previous session, I can actually choose the instant reload and make sure that my app is gonna be reloaded with the new changes that I made. And the reload time is gonna be much faster. And as you can see, my latest updates for the homepage is now appearing. And finally, let's do the run mode. So in this case, I'm just gonna click on the play icon to run my application fully functional. After the run mode is up and running, you will see your application. And if you have multiple pages, which we're gonna have throughout this course, you can navigate and see all the functionalities on this. But the benefit of run mode is that if we go back to App Builder, this time, if I actually open the test, run, and publish menu, you'll see that I'm gonna have a link for my running project, and I can copy and share it with my teammates. All right, that's it. Let's move on to the next video where we're gonna talk about FlutterFlow local run. As we discussed, FlutterFlow apps are Flutter applications. Therefore, if you have the source code, you can run it on your machine. That's exactly what local run helps with. This is very powerful as you can run your full application features, including only features that work on real device or emulators on a specific platforms, and they're not available on the web. There are two ways to do that. So in FlutterFlow, you can either download source code and run the Flutter apps in your local emulators or actual device. For that, always check the documentation to prepare the prerequisite for running a Flutter application. Or you can test your app on a real device using the local run feature, which is available in the FlutterFlow desktop application. Local run automatically tracks changes in your FlutterFlow project, downloads the source code locally, and gives you the option to use Flutter's hot reload or hot restart to see your changes instantly on a device. Now I'm going to go to the test, run, and publish menu again, and this time I'm going to have the FlutterFlow local run option. After you downloaded the app, make sure that you are going to run. When you log in, then you will see a list of your application, and just go to the app project that you're gonna set it up for the local run. This time, if you open the test run app menu, you will see that you have the setup local run, which is gonna open a wizard to set up the local run. There are some prerequisites for Android and iOS, which I recommend you to take a look at the documentation for more information. Just keep in mind, you cannot run an iOS app on a Windows machine. You have to have a Mac OS version, but you can run an Android app on a Mac OS. Once it's ready to use, click on continue, go to the next option, which is going to running the Flutter Doctor command. Flutter Doctor command, if you don't know, is gonna check your environment for any issues that might prevent you from running at the application. So as I said, don't worry about the errors. You can always consult with the FlutterFlow documentation for prerequisite that you need to set up for Android and iOS and web development. But for now, we got everything to work, and I'm just gonna continue to the next option, which is gonna be optional. You can set up your preferred IDE to open the project code directly from their local run. To do this, select any of these IDEs. So for now, I have VS Code, or you can have Android Studio or IntelliJ. I'm gonna select the VS Code and select the path. That is going to open your Explorer where you need to find a path for your IDE. So for example, I'm gonna go to Application and I will find VS Code. Once you selected your path to the IDE, just go ahead and save. In the next option, you can also specify whether the code exported by local run should be formatted, or you can also have debug logging enabled. So I'm just going to keep both of them enabled, and I'm just going to hit the done button. Still in my FlutterFlow desktop application in my project. So if I go back now to the test run publish, this time it says local run status ready. Voila, we are ready. Or if you're ready, go ahead and fetch the devices. When you fetch the devices, you will actually get a list of devices that you can run your FlutterFlow on that. So for example, an iPhone, it could be a physical iPhone connected to your laptop, or a simulator, or a Mac OS for testing maybe a responsive application, a desktop application. There are different troubleshooting and documentation listed for you so that you can take a look and see how you can launch an iOS simulator if you haven't already. In your Mac, you can open the Spotlight search and find the simulator and open it. There you go. My iPhone 16 now is up and running. I just organized my screen a bit nicer here. So if I hit the refresh on fetching devices, you will see that my iPhone 16 Pro is popping up. So I'm just going to click on the plus, and you will see that my device is now selected. And now I can run test. Once it's up and running, you will see you have access to the hot reload, hot restart, and stop. So if you make any changes in your application, you can go back here and use the hot reload or hot restart to get the latest changes to your simulator. All right, that's great. That was for the local run. There is one more thing I want to mention before we go to the next video, and that's where you have access to the device logs. You can just click and see what's going on in the device logs, and even open the Flutter DevTools. There's also an access to exported file. You can open the project folder, or you can open it to your VS Code as your default or preferred IDE. And then you can open it in Xcode because this is an iOS, and we can open it on Xcode too. Let's make a quick change. Let's change the hello world to hello friends. And this time, if I just make the hot reload, you see that is appearing very quickly in my device. Beautiful. Let's talk about generated code now in this video. We have seen in the previous video in this module that you can have access to the source code via different options in the developer menu or from the FlutterFlow desktop application. So here is my app builder, and in my developer menu, I can download the source code. But then you also have view code option where you can click and also take a look at the code that is already in this project. Or we can actually go back to our FlutterFlow desktop application. And if I go to the test run publish menu, you will see that I have my access exported project where I can open it in my preferred IDE, which we configured in the previous video. I'm going to open it in VS Code right now and see what will happen. And voila, here is my project. Here is my e-commerce course app project that we built so far. First thing is that you will see several folders in the root of this project. So the Android, iOS, and web are just for running the project on the specific platform. And every source code of the project is actually residing under the lib folder. And remember when I said when you create folders, it's going to reflect it in your generated code. And here is where you can see the folders. You see the auth folder, you see the pages, and corresponding files. For example, all of your pages gonna have an underline widget where you can find the UI and state management. And everything for that page is gonna have a model file as well. Here's a written code in Dart, and that's going to handle the business logic as well as the state management for your application. You'll usually find all of the models extending from the FlutterFlow models. And if you explore the FlutterFlow models, that you see that it's an abstract class where you have different options. You have initialize, you have widget, and you have dispose, and so on and so forth. There's other folders that we just also created. We created orders, as you see the order history, and then also pages, home page that we just created. So for now, you're gonna have also the main.dart, which is the initial, the entry point of your project. And there's also another folder that is FlutterFlow, where you have some of the functionality that is generated for you, so that everything related to FlutterFlow is gonna be under this. When you upload any asset for your project, it actually goes under the assets folder. You'll find all the images and videos and so on. This is a Flutter project. You have pub/spec YAML file, analysis options, dev tools, and all the files that are related to also Flutter projects. I'm gonna open the lib folder and go to one of the page again. Let's open the home page this time. This page is gonna be a stateful widget, and we already explored different type of widgets in Flutter in module 2, and you are familiar with that. One of the things that each page will have is gonna be the model, as you can see. Let's take a look at this model. It's gonna be a home page model. That's the pattern of the name of the model for the pages. So let's open up this model. So if I open my Explorer again, you see that is actually next to my screen widgets. So I'm gonna open the model here. This model is responsible to have the business logic and state management. Beautiful.